Japan marked the second anniversary on Monday of a devastating earthquake and tsunami that left nearly 19,000 people dead or missing. The memorial observances in Tokyo and in barren towns along the northeastern coast, those gathered bowed their heads in a moment of silence, marking the moment, at 2:46 p.m. on March 11, 2011, when the magnitude 9.0 earthquake, the strongest recorded in Japan's history, struck off the coast. More than 300,000 people remain displaced by the triple disasters, about half of them evacuees from areas near the wrecked Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant. The government has vowed faster action to clean up radiation from meltdowns of its reactors and rebuild lost communities, but has yet to devise a post-disaster energy strategy, the central issue for its struggling economy. Also Monday, hundreds of evacuees from the nuclear disaster caused by the catastrophe filed a lawsuit demanding compensation for their suffering and losses. Throughout the disaster zone, the tens of thousands of survivors living in temporary housing are impatient to get resettled, a process that could take up to a decade, officials say. "What I really want is to once again have my home," said Migaku Suzuki, a 69-year-old farm worker in Rikusen, Takeda, who lost the house he had just finished building in the disaster. Suzuki also lost a son in the tsunami, which obliterated much of the city. Farther south, in Fukushima Prefecture, some 160,000 evacuees are uncertain if they will ever be able to return to abandoned homes around the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, where 3 reactors melted down and spewed radiation into the surrounding soil and water after the tsunami knocked out the plant's vital cooling system. A group of 800 people filed a lawsuit Monday in Fukushima against the government and Tokyo Electric Power Company, the utility that operates the now-closed Fukushima plant. It demands an apology payment of 50,000 yen, $625 a month for each victim until all radiation from the accident is wiped out, a process that could take decades. Evacuees are anxious to return home but worried about the potential, still uncertain risks from exposure to the radiation from the disaster, the worst since Chernobyl in 1986. While there have been no clear cases of cancer linked to radiation from the plant, the upheaval in people's lives, uncertainty about the future and long-term health concerns, especially for children, have taken an immense psychological toll on thousands of residents. "I don't trust the government on anything related to health anymore," said Masayuki Watanabe, 42, who fled the nearby town of Minami-Soma and doesn't plan to return because the radiation in the ground is too high. In Kawachi, one of many towns with varying degrees of access restrictions due to radiation, Village Chief Yuko Endo is pinning his hopes on the success of a long decontamination process that may or may not enable hundreds of residents to return home. Much of the area is off limits, though some restrictions gradually are being lifted as workers remove debris and wipe down roofs by hand. "Many residents might give up on returning if they are kept waiting too long," he said. "If I were told to wait for 2 more years, I might explode," said Endo, who is determined to revive his town of mostly empty houses and overgrown fields. After spending a huge amount of money, with the vegetable patches all cleaned up and ready for farming, we may end up with nobody willing to return. The change of government late last year has raised hopes that authorities might move quicker with the cleanup and reconstruction. Since taking office in late December, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has made a point of frequently visiting the disaster zone, promising faster action, and plans to raise a long-term reconstruction budget to 25 trillion yen, $262 billion from 19 trillion yen, about $200 billion. Hopes for a significant improvement may be misplaced, said Hiroshi Suzuki, chairman of the Fukushima Prefectural Reconstruction Committee. There have been no major changes by the new government in response to the nuclear accident, though the budget has been increased, he said. If the reconstruction budget continues to serve as a tool for expanding public works spending, then I believe local societies and economists will be undermined.